in the 2017, 2018 bull run.
So you believed in it?
I believe. Well, I was in it.
Yeah,
I was
you
in
were
it.
for real.
I was in it. And the thing that people don't seem to understand about crypto is that it's here to stay. It's
Agreed.
literally here to stay because if you right now,
Bill,
you
I just sent you a tweet on Telegram, by the way. Pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I got it.
You can literally right now go on your phone, download any of these DeFi wallets, Backpack, Phantom, and within a couple minutes, anybody can be transacting in the financial system. You don't have to KYC. You don't have to submit your ID. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you approval.
Yeah, Swift
And
codes and also the
none
bullshit.
of this bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
Within 10 minutes, within 2 minutes, you have a USDT address. I can send you $100,000 without a middleman.
Yeah.
That's absolutely phenomenal. It's unprecedented ever in history. And people are turning to that because they realize that the middleman is simply trying to control the narrative, not trying to
100%.
protect you.
Yep. The banks. So actually, matter of fact, I found this very interesting. Edward Snowden tweeted this today. He goes, prediction, a national government will be revealed this year to have been buying Bitcoin, the modern replacement for monetary gold, without having disclosed that fact publicly. And I find this very interesting as well because we know that a lot of these big banks that have always said, oh, crypto is a lie, it's a scam. The JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, all these guys that have always been like anti-cryptocurrency, right? That tell you, go ahead and invest in S&P 500. They give you that traditional bullshit financial advice. They've been buying crypto. They won't tell you that they've been buying crypto,
The whole
but they've been
time.
buying it the whole time.
Yeah.
If you can pull up Luke Belmar Medium Predictions 2024, actually predicted that governments would actually start beginning to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet because it's a safe haven.
Yeah.
Because what if you are El Salvador? What if you are Argentina? What if you are some European country that is still bound to the monetary policy of the United States? You have no control when the US dollar is going to print more money or when the Fed's going to print more money, when they're going to print more US dollars. So you need to find safe havens. Treasury bills are no longer really a safe haven. So you need to be in a situation where you kind of begin to limit the exposure that you have to the policy of, or the bad policy of governments. So imagine the US dollar can just continue to exist and the government can continue to print more dollars because they pay off their own debt by printing more money.
Yeah.
But what if you don't have the ability to print more dollars?
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
And that's every other government.
Yep.
So if you go to
And they're not the reserve dollar. Like they're not the
Exactly.
reserve
They're not the
currency.
reserve
Like the only
currency.
thing I don't think people get it. Like the only reason we're able to continue to print money and do the stupid shit that we're doing in the United States is because we are the reserve currency. Everyone does their deals in US dollars for oil, but BRICS is trying to contest
Change
that right
that.
now
Yeah.
with Russia, Brazil, and all these
China.
other countries coming together, trying to create another currency to topple the US dollar. Gaddafi tried to do it actually where he wanted to unite all of Africa and they killed his ass. So there's many challenges to the US dollar. And I'll say this too, while we're at the time of recording of this episode right now on February 28th, Bitcoin right now is $61,296. Fucking crazy, bro. And I predict what you think is going to hit.
I mean,
new
yeah,
highs?
pull up the article real quick.
Yeah.
Scroll down to Money and Markets. I tend to make predictions once a year. So, for example, new countries begin conversations toward Bitcoin as legal tender. So right now we have El Salvador, which legalized Bitcoin as real money, which means anytime a sovereign nation legalizes tender, the IMF has to basically say, hey, this is money. So after El Salvador did it, Bitcoin has become real money. It's no longer a what if, it's no longer a maybe. It's here to stay. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
I agree with you. And here's the thing too, like I'll admit that I'm pretty biased. I'm a real estate guy. I'm not a crypto guy. I do have crypto because I do believe in it and I think it's the future. But I mean, even as a traditional investor, whether you're a stock guy, you're an S&P 500 index fund guy, you want to be a real estate guy, precious metals, whatever it may be, I think everyone now at this point understands that if you don't have cryptocurrency in your investment portfolio, you're fucking up because it's probably one of the best performing. Actually, not even.
Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the decade.
It is the best
Hands
performing. Yeah, it is the best performing asset class.
Well,
by
they
far.
said it was a scam, so I mean, some people aren't believing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And that's fine. And the people that don't believe it, you just have to look at their financial literacy and you have to look at how much they understand about history. Because when you start looking back at history, you begin to understand that the beginning of transactions was peer-to-peer. It was bartering. But what happened? There was a technological limitation because let's say you had a cow and I had 3 plots of land. Well, what if the 3 plots of land were worth 3/4 of a cow? There was no ability to really scale and build any sort of civilization until the introduction of coinage. And coinage wasn't just a monetary revolution. It's a technological advancement. Why? Because it can stand the test of time. It can be transported very easily. So Bitcoin is just a digitalization of coinage in a way that is easy to transact. If I was to take $100,000 from here to Dubai in gold bars, I would get stopped. I would get questioned.
100%. You have to declare that too.
But I don't have to do that with crypto.
Yeah.
Because I don't
be on
have
your
to
phone.
go through the middleman. Exactly. I can just have a ledger. I can have a Trezor. I can literally just move it really quickly. And what I've come to realize is they've weaponized money, right, to keep people in control. And Bitcoin is an attempt to kind of move away from that weaponization into sovereignty so that we can once again go back to bartering peer to peer.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the government obviously wants to get involved in that so they can collect their little bit and then also regulate it and be like, oh, well, we're going to, take our cut. Because that's the only reason why they want to regulate is they want to get their money too.
And think about it, not just them, but it's the banks. So for example, let's say, think about the taxation process from the moment you buy a good till the end of the transaction. I pay you for a good, I pay 7%. Now you have to pay taxes on that. Right?
Yep.
If you use the remainder of that money to buy something else, that gets taxed. Not only does it get taxed, but there's credit card fees on every single transaction that takes place. So what happens if you get rid of these transactions, these middlemen? These people can no longer make money, which obviously is their business. People think that the business of the bank is to hold your money. No, they make money on remittances. They make money on investing the things that you deposit. So when you begin to understand the banking system, you begin to understand the scam that it is, and that you don't actually need it. And Bitcoin, which is just kind of like the introductory to this entire ecosystem that is digital money, has allowed people to realize that you don't need banks. You just need technology that is fast enough, efficient enough, and trustworthy through code, because you're trusting code. You can see code. You don't have to trust a middleman. You don't have to trust an individual who usually has alternative motives.
Yeah. Not only that, I find it interesting how, people trust the banks or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, because they make money off of you putting money in there, and then as soon as you give them that money, they take it and they throw it somewhere else. They're giving it to someone that wants to invest it. That's what they want to do. That's how they make their money.
That's
is
correct.
giving it on interest. They make money on lending money on interest.
Yeah. So the creation of, for example, the paper money was just a proof of ownership. That's all it was. Because, for example, let's say you had $100,000 worth of tokens or coins. You would just deposit that in the bank, and the bank would give you a receipt. People began to transact this receipt as the proof of money. So the fiat currency that we see today is just proof that you have money. It's no longer money, it's debt. Mm-hmm. And the moment you deposit the money inside the bank account, it's no longer yours. That's what people don't seem to understand. If you look at the terms and conditions, that's why it's FDIC insured up to $250,000, because everything else is literally seen as you lending money to the bank. That's why you get 0.01% interest, because it's a loan. And now it's no longer, the deposit is no longer seen as a deposit, it's seen as a liability. Yep. Everything that the bank holds is a liability because they're loaning out to you with interest when you deposit it in there. And then we can talk about the fractionalization of that.
Yep.
Anytime you deposit money, the bank has the ability to fractionalize that 9 times.
Yep.
So you have the printing and printing and printing of infinite money. When you begin to realize that the only allowed circulating supply through the Constitution was $300 million, everything else is fake.
Yeah.
Everything else is just printed to fractionalize
Not only
reserve
that,
banking.
the interesting part is like, the bank is only responsible for holding 2 to 3% of how much money they're supposed to be holding. So, and for all the people that say, oh no, it's my money, blah, 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 go to a bank and ask for $50K.
Yeah, and all the questions.
Watch them shut that bank down, bro. They're going to shut that bank down to give you that, if they even have it there. You will not be able to get that money out. Let's say I got to go buy a house or some shit, or I got to buy a car, I got to make a big purchase, whatever, and you have $50K in there, $100,000 in there, $20,000 in there. Let's say it's $10,000. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions. They might not be able to give you that money that day. That's the crazy part.
I agree.
And you got to hope that the money's there.
Yeah.
Actually, Grant Cardone went to withdraw, I think, like $1 million from the bank, and they were giving him hell to get it out.
Yeah.
He couldn't get it out.
Couldn't even get his own money out, bro.
$1 million.
And that's crazy. And then if you want to deposit, it's even funnier. They're going to shut the bank. If you got like $100K you want to deposit in there, they're going to shut the bank down and ask you a bunch of questions.
Well, add to that, look what happened in Canada with the truckers. That basically said, hey, we're going to stand up because we actually don't like what the government is doing.
Yeah.
And they started freezing bank accounts.
Yeah.
I think
for them and for anyone that was helping them.
You know James O'Keefe, the guy that does the undercover news reporting. Have you seen him?
The name sounds very familiar.
He used to be part of something called Veritas, which was like a media company that kind of discloses certain things undercover. They just nerfed or they just nuked an IRS agent from the Criminal Investigation Department, and he confessed that the Department of Justice actually has AI tracking all bank accounts right now.
I believe it.
So now you're no longer safe. No, you don't have this idea of privacy. Privacy does not exist. It's an illusion. So anytime you enter a centralized system, you're under their rules and their
100%.
control. And for people that don't understand that, that's fine. You can just be fucked. You can continue living on your US dollar. You can continue doing your thing, and you'll just have to deal with the consequences later on. It's very simple. We're not here to convince anybody about it. When Bitcoin was fucking $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and everybody considered it toy money, that's fine. You can continue believing that, but it all comes down to people's lack of financial literacy. And this is what I always tell people. Every time that there's any sovereign power, what they want to keep you is illiterate. 500, 1,000 years ago, the church would keep you illiterate from reading Latin. Why? Because they were the connection between you and God.
Yeah.
That's why when John Wycliffe rolled around and translated the Bible into English, they wanted to kill the man. Why? Because he simplified the access to God. It's the same thing today. You have financial illiteracy. Go through the bank. Go through this guy. Go through that guy. We'll take care of you. And then you begin to realize that there are ulterior motives, and the ulterior motives are to keep you slave, controlled, and absolutely fucked. And people are starting to wake up to that.